Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Lonely Liberal Podcast. I am your host, Nick Zankin, and I'm so happy to have you on this lovely Sunday. We got a great show for you today. We're going to go through the news with Rick, per usual, like we do every single Sunday. We got a lot to talk about, so without further ado, let's get to it. And we are back with Rick. Rick, what's up, man?
Hey, not much. Just chilling. What's up with you?
Good. We were just talking before we clicked record about a documentary you recommended, and my God, I am still shook to my core. You're kind of a documentary guy. You should be having a documentary corner.
I should, yeah. A documentary docket, perhaps.
Oh!
Yeah, I love documentaries, true crime, cults, anything, honestly, really. Like the Fire Festival one is one of my all-time faves. But yeah, this one was from 2017, but I just watched it the other day, Abducted in Plain Sight on Netflix, and it is wild. So I had to recommend it to you.
Absolutely bonkers. like one of the ones that like you're just like, how is this real? Like the Matrix broke. These people are not real people. Like what is going on?
Yeah, it's a very low-budget documentary, but it's one that you have to rewind it at certain points because you will not believe what happens, what the people say.
So recommend. I could not recommend it more. Honestly, I'm curious what people write us in. Like, if there's an appetite out there for us to do just a documentary, like we should just do a top 10 documentary episode. You know, a pure culture episode.
That'd be great.
I know. I'm curious what your top 10 is because you've. I feel like you've seen a lot, and there are a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I probably average one or two a week, so there's a lot in there.
I love them. I love cult documentary. I think cults are so crazy. They're so interesting to me.
Yeah, I actually just watched one called The Anarchists on HBO that came out a couple of years ago, and it's about this crypto-libertarian anarchist conference in Mexico every year. It's run by Americans. But it was really good and kind of touches on like some of what comes up on the podcast too, as far as like, you know, political cults, and that type of thing. But it was pretty funny. Although nowadays I do like the shorter documentaries that are like 1 or 2 episodes versus like the 6-8 episodes season.
Yeah, they went too crazy with the docuseries, I think. Like I feel like Tiger King started it, like, really, and that was totally valid because there were so many insane moments, and then too many, like, you know what I mean? Like 6 hours, 5 hours, you know, give me 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah, probably half of our audience was at that crypto conference. No, but,
yeah.
But no, we do got a ton of news to get to, so we should get to it. The big one being the government is shut down. Where is that? Hold on. And that's probably terrible to play because it's a really serious issue.
Seems like we don't care whatsoever.
We do care. I mean, we could have been playing, which would have been a lot more.
Yeah, the sound effects aren't meant to be sarcastic. They're very serious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it is a really serious event. Why do people listen to this show? Anyways, so yeah, the government is shut down. It's shut down on Wednesday at 12:01 because Congress failed again to pass bills to extend the federal budget. Obviously, this has a huge economic impact from not just the people who are going to get furloughed and stuff and all the different like government services that won't happen, but it also just really impacts the GDP a lot, which again isn't the priority one, but it is interesting. Like a lot of estimates have between $7 to $15 billion a week of GDP growth lost for every week in the shutdown. So that's interesting. You never hear that get talked about, but there's a ton to talk about. So I guess the first question for you, Rick, is obviously, well, the Republicans control, you know, the House, the Senate, the presidency, and arguably the Supreme Court. You know, it's more their responsibility than the Dems, but obviously the Dems did choose to go with the shutdown, which they didn't do earlier in the year, which got Schumer a lot of backlash. Do you think it was a good idea?
Yes, I do think it's a good idea. Although that being said, you know, we should acknowledge what you just mentioned about all the negative effects on the economy, on like individual employment. It's not just the people that are going without pay in the government. You also have downstream effects of government contracts that are suspended. So, you know, it affects the private free market as well. But I do support it. I think it's, you know, a tough question that's definitely worth debating. But kind of one way I thought about it in my head was like, does temporarily preventing some of the damage that the Trump administration is doing outweigh the damage from a temporary shutdown? And I think it does. Like, I think at this point they need to do literally anything they can to try to halt some of what Trump is doing. And we should say that specifically in this case, the Democrats are asking to their biggest ask that they say then they'll join the Republicans in voting for a continuing resolution or a new spending bill would be for Trump to extend some of the credits from the Affordable Care Act that the Trump administration passed that will expire. So kind of the big ask is to not let those Obamacare credits expire and allow all those people to keep their health insurance. So yeah, what's your first impression? Do you agree with the shutdown? And do you agree with healthcare as sort of like the linchpin in this whole thing?
Yeah, like you said, it's really tricky because you can see both sides. Like I don't think it's like a clear, definitely. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's obvious. Yeah, the healthcare one is the point of contention. Of course, Mike Johnson, Trump, the head of the GOP are saying it's because the Democrats want to give healthcare to illegal immigrants, which of course isn't true. They want to the provisions that are under debate are the ones that give legal immigrants health insurance. And that's a big chunk of what we're talking about, but not completely. It's getting overstated because of course it is. Yeah, it's interesting. So, obviously, when this happened a few months back and Schumer didn't shut the government down, he got a ton of shit for it, right? Because they said, look, this is your one negotiating power and you didn't do it and you're such a coward. And then he immediately went on a book tour, so it didn't help. That being said, yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think overall it's a good thing because it shows a semblance of a spine from the Democrats. That being said, and this is what Schumer had originally said, like when he chose not to a few months back. The risk of a government shutdown is what it does, right, is allows the executive branch to now control the purse, basically, like what gets spent and what doesn't get spent. Now, money already appropriated by Congress, right, approved to be spent, can't be touched, even though he's doing it live, but that's a whole other topic. So the fear is that all his goons will make Trump go on an absolute crazy spree, and that will just be even worse than the healthcare stuff. And I think the risk, the gambit was, right, like he wouldn't do that. And now he's starting to do it. And it really ties nicely to this tweet, right, or truth or whatever, of Trump saying basically like, ha ha ha, the Democrats are so dumb. By doing the shutdown, I can now have Russell Vought, the famed author of Project 2025, run wild, and I'm going to do it. Ha 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 ha. And I think that's what made everyone's heart sink, right? And I'm sure everyone in the Democratic Party in DC was like, uh-oh. So is it a bluff? I don't know. But I think like this is a big moment because he's been denying that he even knew what Project 2025 was up until this moment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough. It's such an easy tool, shutting down the government, that the Republicans can use when they're the minority in Congress, because Republicans' entire philosophy is that the government is a waste of money and we should cut most of it outside of police and military.
Yep.
And their whole thing is like, let's cut as much government spending and programs as possible. And then they do. And then they point to those programs and say, see how shitty our government programs are.
It's the easiest win of all time. You destroy something, it sucks, then go, see how much that sucks? Yeah. And then continue. It's the easiest cycle. It's such an easy position to have. It's crazy.
Right, exactly. You see it at the state level with the DMV and the RMVs. Like, everyone hates those so much, and they're like, the lines are out the door every time I go to the DMV. Like, can you believe it's just an example of how much the government sucks? And it's like, yeah, that's because they have 2 employees working because Republicans don't want to fund it.
They hate it. They do it on purpose. Yeah. And the VA is another example of that same thing.
Yeah. So it works much better for Republicans. For Democrats, they have to, thread this needle of, like, we support these federal programs, but we're okay with temporarily defunding them in order to, get X, Y, and Z or prevent Trump from doing X, Y, and Z. So I don't know. It's a very tough call. It's not like if you were a Republican operative where you could just say, yeah, sure, I support shutting down the government because who cares? We want to cut all these programs anyway. So it's tough. But like you mentioned with the 2025 thing, it is significant that Trump is just fully admitting that he's a big part of it. Like let's remember in July, so not that or
2 months ago,
or no, sorry, this is July 2024, so this is
so a year ago,
right before November. He said, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them.
Of course, he had to wish them well.
Yeah, of course.
Him and Ghislaine Maxwell, he can't help himself. I wish them well. He adds that in so nonchalantly. But anyway,
thank you for attention to this matter. That's another thing. He just started throwing in this term that he didn't do last time.
That's a new hot one.
You're really winning over the swing votes with that line. I don't know. Yeah, what do you think about the 2025 stuff?
Well, it's now real, right? It's no longer a thing that he can say is like fantasy world, right? He's now officially admitted that he's a part of it and that he's going to encourage Russ Vought, the fucking head author of it, to go crazy and do what it said. So, I mean, it's probably an interesting conversation in general. Like, do you think they ran on the Project 2025 stuff enough during the Kamala campaign? Because they did, but then they kind of puttered it off when Trump said what you just said, And maybe that was a mistake. And then also, is this another thing to add to the bucket for the midterm elections? Like, should this be in the bucket with the Epstein stuff, ICE and all the other crap? You know what I mean? Because now it's real, right? Now you can say, he can't say, I've never heard of it before. He probably will, and some Republicans will probably believe that. But I think this now opens that as the secret's out, the Wizard of Oz, the curtain has been peeked behind, and we might as well use that as a focus point. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it was interesting. At the press conference about the shutdown, at one of them, Chuck Schumer said, quote, House Republicans care more about protecting the Epstein files than protecting the American people. So they are kind of bringing in the Epstein files into this other debate about shutdowns and healthcare in 2025. I don't know. We've talked about before, Project 2025 polled pretty negatively, which is why the Harris campaign started using it. Although, like you said, they didn't really use it as much as they could have. It is a little bit in the weeds, I have to say, as far as the national issue goes.
Well, it's complicated. It's a long document with a lot of policy jargon.
Right. And even it's a document created by a think tank. That alone, how many people know what a think tank is? Never mind heritage specifically.
Yeah. No, it's
so it's a bit in the weeds for versus Trump's campaign for president, which was immigrants bad, inflation bad, vote me.
Yeah.
But that being said, they should use it. But I don't. It does seem like the Epstein files have captured everyone's attention more than 2025. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. It's a good point. I think what they probably should do is take the worst parts out of Project 2025 and just use them as and like you said, not be they want to do Project 2025, and then just say no, what they're doing is they're firing these people, making them do loyalty pledges, or they want to do X, they want to do, you know what I mean? The headlines of the document, and then when they say, no, we don't, and then you can say, yes, you do, you supported Project 2025, which is what, as kind of an argument, because, I think that's kind of it. And interestingly enough, right, so both, what's his name? Toon, how do you say his last name? Toon? the senator, the Senate Majority Leader. It's Thune, right? Not or is it Thune?
I've always said Thune, but I don't know, honestly.
I think it might be Thune. I've heard it both ways. That's why I'm asking. Well, anyways, both him and Johnson, right, have said in interviews and to in recorded conversations, like you've heard them say, like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen, like using Trump being a maniac as a justification to the Democrats to stop like the shutdown. Like basically being like, are you really going to let this guy have power? And that's the kind of stuff that is mind blowing. I don't know if you saw this clip with Mike Johnson. I should have clipped it for the show. But someone was asking him, goes, the president is unhinged. He's out of control. You should see the stuff he's, tweeting out. And Mike Johnson goes, hey, you've got crazy people on your side too. And that basically says, yeah, I know, but so do you. You know what I mean? Like he didn't say, no, he's not. So it does, I think, confirm a little bit of the theories that we've been talking about, that a lot of these Republican politicians are this is a performance. It's not like they've bought into the Trump stuff. Like they know he's crazy, but they see how it can benefit themselves.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not see that. But yeah, it does sound like he's admitting it. And obviously it's bullshit altogether because they're quoting the president of the United States. And then he's like, hey, there are crazies on your side too. And it's like, okay, are you referencing a tweet from,
yeah, exactly. Some
Gooner123 or whatever? It's not quite equivalent to the president.
You're right. It is Gooner123. Yeah, this is the direct quote. It's from Madeline Dean. She said, the president is unhinged. And then she said, he's unwell. And then he said, a lot of your side are too, Johnson replied. I don't control them. So that's that. I mean, that's him basically admitting it, right? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. No one seems to care that he's crazy. I guess another question is, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, in regards to like Democrats making healthcare the linchpin, I guess I have mixed. I guess I'm not really sure how I feel about it because.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm a big healthcare policy guy, honestly. Like that's kind of one of my favorite like policy subject topics and ones like I'm more passionate about. So I do think in general Democrats should make expanding healthcare and making it more affordable as like the number one economic issue. I think it's that important, and everyone hates health insurance. So like it makes sense policy-wise, but it makes sense politically too. That being said, though, I'm personally more worried about what ICE is doing and what the military in our cities are doing because it's happening so fast and it's such a blatant infringement upon our rights. Like they're literally deporting people here legally that have done nothing wrong. Like that's a fact that's happening.
Yep.
So, I mean, I would have liked to see that be the linchpin. Now, I think they chose healthcare because they see it as more realistic that the Republicans will cave on extending healthcare credits versus caving on pulling back ICE or the National Guard. But I do got to say, like, I am more concerned about that kind of threat than I am about the healthcare expiring.
Yeah, totally. And I think, though, that it's exactly what you said, though, which is that Democrats lose on illegal immigration. Like, that's just they can't, like, I think what they're going to do is they're going to drift towards the center on illegal immigration even more than they already have. Because if they do anything like that, like if they're out like publicly saying like we want to defund ICE or stuff like that, like that will be fodder for decades. You know what I mean? Like they're looking for anything to say that they love illegal immigrants, because illegal immigrants and illegal immigration are like such sensitive topics to such a huge swath of the country. It's probably people's like top 3 issues for like a ton of people. And whereas with healthcare, like you said, I think more people like it. That being said, they're very careful with the use of the word ACA, right? Because remember that poll what said like if you call it Obamacare, people hate it. If you call it the ACA, people love it. Yeah. So it's a good question, and it's something that we'll probably have to see. I mean, how long do you think this thing will go for? So the longest one ever actually was under Trump the first term, and it was I think 30-ish days. That would be pretty nuts, a 30-day window.
Yeah, probably. I guess they'll see if like any small concessions are made. But I don't know. The fact that Schumer opposed the shutdown last time and helped make the deal to move forward makes me think like he's going to cave pretty soon.
Yeah, and then lastly on this shutdown, because there's always a quote about how hypocritical Trump is. This is a direct quote from him when the government shut down under Obama, which is, "A shutdown falls on the president's lack of leadership. A shutdown means the president is weak." And once again, they've changed, White House voicemails to say like it's the Dems' fault. They're putting it's the Dems' fault on freaking government websites. Also, very quickly actually, can we talk about this use of the word radical left and like it's now becoming like who isn't radical left in their eyes? Like, they say radical left was such a good branding exercise because Democrats admit there's a radical left, and obviously the right thinks there's a radical left. But the more and more you see it being used, when he says radical left, he means every single Democrat.
Right.
Like, they're not talking about the radical left, the actual radical left. Like, there is no, not there's no radical left, but like, everyone gets the radical left label. Like I would love for, and I know, again, like always, I know there's conservatives listening. Name a Democrat who isn't a radical left member or who Trump wouldn't say is radical left. Can we get some examples? Because I have yet to hear anyone say like, this is what makes someone a radical left person and this is what doesn't, in the eyes of a conservative.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't stop at calling everyone a radical left either. They call everyone communists, comrade Kamala, fascists. We should talk about this story this meme that Trump posted on Truth Social. Which called the Democratic Party, quote, the party of hate, evil, and Satan. And J.D. Vance, his biggest shtick he's been running with, I'd say this term, has been the left and the Democrats think everyone's a fascist. Fascist, fascist, fascist. Trump is Hitler. Trump is Hitler. Boy who cried wolf. You can't do anything about it.
Speaking of which, we get that all the time. We get conservatives comment about that all of the time. And even though me and you have both ranted and raved about how we don't think if you voted for Trump, you're necessarily a fascist. They don't care. That is so ingrained in the right discourse right now that every left person thinks that we're a fascist that I don't know if it'll be hard to unwind that one. But anyway,
and these are quotes from Trump himself at campaign rallies. This election is a choice between communism and freedom. Kamala is a Marxist. She's a fascist. If Comrade Kamala gets 4 more years, you will be living in a full-blown banana republic ruled by an anarchy and a tyranny. They're scum. They're scum and they want to take down our country. They are absolute garbage. So, I mean, he's using Marxist, fascist, communist. He's
garbage,
just tossing them all out there.
Vermin. That's another one he likes to use sometimes.
And these are all quotes about an incredibly centrist presidential candidate that was running to the center desperately, talking about her Glock
and how much she loves fracking.
Because she was so desperate to be seen as a centrist and not an actual liberal or progressive. So it just shows you they toss out these words way more than people on the left, even though that when people on the left use them, I'd say they're more accurate. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes down to people not knowing what these words mean, People don't know what socialist means or communism is or fascist. Like, they don't know what that means. Like, they don't know that fascism doesn't necessarily equal Nazi, or socialist is like a broad term, and like what's the difference between socialism and democratic socialism and capitalism and blah blah blah. Like, people don't oligarchy, all these words like people have like an idea of what they mean, and because they don't realize that a lot of the political jargon is like a spectrum and a concept, they get, I don't know very much. It's just a lack of civic knowledge. And it's unfortunate because like the more what happens a lot of the times is that I feel like recently, especially over the last 10 years, but especially the last 5 years, we've been hearing these more political terms more often, like authoritarianism, oligarchy, fascism, stuff like that. A lot of the time people had heard about communism. I feel like communism was like the big one of the 80s, obviously, because of the Cold War. It's like, yeah, like I think though the risk of the constant use of these words, while they are more accurate than calling someone like a wannabe king or something like that, they do end up getting thrown around a lot. And then the nuance of if they've been appropriately used or not, you know what I mean? Like if you call someone like, if you say like, Donald Trump has proto-fascist tendencies, a lot of people hear that and just go, you think he's a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't register as like, or like the way the tech industry is going, it's really becoming a new age oligarchy that's enabling, the deregulation of AI and blah, blah, blah. Like this does nothing for people. And so it's this really kind of tricky thing of like not talking to people like they're idiots, but also understanding that like there is a little bit of a learning curve with a lot of the language that gets used around. And I think that's what fuels it, because they know that people don't know what these words mean. We talked about it with woke, Rick, right? Like, like woke has an actual definition. And like you said, I think about what you said like a few weeks back all of the time, that like a lot of people are against like anti-woke. But what they think of as woke is not what the other person who's anti-woke thinks is woke. So they think they're agreeing with each other, but in reality, they're agreeing with different ideas.
Yeah, 100%. And it's weird. I feel like people are so willing, however you identify politically, like you're so willing to label the other side as communist and woke and whatever, even though, of course, it goes without saying, Kamala Harris has never said I'm a communist or identified as a communist. But when it comes to your own side, they just take their word for it. Trump says I'm not a fascist, so he's not a fascist. Like something that you and Eric talked about on your recent episode, which was great. Shout out to Eric, Dr. Fascism. Love that guy. But one thing he mentioned was that if fascism or authoritarian policies come to America, like they're going to be disguised as like within the label of freedom. Like I'm doing these authoritarian things to protect your freedom. And it's like, because Trump just says the word freedom a lot, his supporters go, oh, of course he's not fascist.
Exactly.
But yet the other side, they're willing to say they're communists, even though the other side never says I'm communist.
And also, like, again, like the far left is a communist. You know what I mean? Like that is what far left is, like a communistic, like Mao type thing. And like, really, you're going to say Kamala is like Mao Zedong? Like really? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the difference here. And like, and the truth is, and I made an Instagram post about this a while ago, like the truth is that on an international political spectrum, especially compared to Europe, Obama is a centrist. Biden is a centrist. Kamala is Republican. You know what I mean? Like right. These people aren't very far left, and it's just, I know people think that's the case because, it's all relative, but like no right-wing person in the UK would be like, we need to completely remove the NHS. Like, that's not on the table. Like, they might want to cut it and reduce it, but they're not going to say, like, no one's running or on a popular candidacy on, like, I want to remove the NHS.
Right.
And that would be the most progressive idea possible. Bernie's considered a communist for that. So, I don't know. But this really segues really nice into the other kind of really big story of the week, which was both Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. I'm not calling him the Secretary of War. I'm sorry. I can't do it. And it's not literally true. They just rebranded on the website. They're still legally the Secretary of Defense, the Defense Department. And the Trump bringing to all these military people together. I think it was for the 250th anniversary of the Marines. Is that right, Rick? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I just know it was an address to like admirals and generals and
generals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was for the okay, cool. Yeah, it was for the Marine thing. But what's so interesting about this is, so it was at the Marine Corps Base Quantico, and interestingly, he got them all together, all these top commanders, and there were two big speeches. One was by Hegseth, where he called everyone fat, basically, and said, "Why aren't you guys as hot as I am?" Honestly, that's basically what he said. And we can break that down in a second. But what I wanted to do, because it just ties better to what we were just talking about, is to talk a little bit about what Trump said, because I think Hegseth got more attention because it was so insulting to the generals to call them all fat when he's literally like an alcoholic news reporter who's known to be a creep. But anyway, there are many videos of him online failing pull-ups, which I highly recommend our audience watch. I want people to hear this clip of Trump talking to these generals and commanders about sending the National Guard in. And I want people to realize, like, again, I know your instinct, if you're on the right, is to think Rick and I are ringing the alarm bell and boy who cried fascist and all that crap. But think about what Rick just said and listen to this clip. Where we go.
San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor. Stupid governor. Stupid.
I just want people...
terrible there.
Awful. I want people to realize what he just said. The president of the United States, to the group of all the military top commanders and generals, said, "You guys need to understand what you're about to do. We're going to war with the major cities in this country. In fact, I think we should use our cities as training grounds for the military. And because there's an enemy within, it's a war from within." Like, it's exactly what Eric said. It's like labeled and twisted in the aim of freedom. But if you actually think about what he's saying, literally saying we're going to war with cities and you guys are going to have to get used to it. I mean, am I being crazy? How else can you interpret that?
No, not at all. I mean, that is that's the number one sign that a leader is turning authoritarian or fascist, is saying there's a war within and then saying the military is going to go after this group of Americans. Like that, I mean, that's it, right?
It's it. And again, this isn't, guys, like, listening, like, this isn't like him at a campaign rally. This isn't him rambling into, his on Fox and Friends, after a 4 a.m. bender, not on drinking, but whatever he does. This is him to the literal room of generals, commanders, and top military officials. This is him directing them and letting them know we are going to war because there's an enemy within, and we should really be using our American cities as training grounds because we're about to go to Chicago, and Chicago's a big place. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It's over. I mean, this is it, right? I mean, are we being like, what else? Like, when they go to Chicago in a few weeks and this happens, are people going to say, "Oh, you guys call everyone fascist"? Like, what's going to happen? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what? I don't know. And it should be said, Eric mentioned this on the show, but like, the generals were pissed. They hated this. They kept panning to the crowd and they were furious and frowning. And this is a national embarrassment, and people seem to be aware of that. But like, I just don't understand how anyone with good conscience could hear that clip that I just played and think that people are being dramatic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's tough to even, like, what more can you say?
Yeah, seriously. Are we just wasting breath? Like, what are we talking about here?
Right. Like, people think that when the Democrats submit a bill to Congress for universal background checks, if you want to buy an automatic weapon, they think that is fascism, because hypothetically down the road, the government will use the records from background checks to send the military into people's houses to confiscate their guns. That's the entire philosophy behind Second Amendment extremism and the belief that there should be zero regulations because anything could possibly lead to the government going into people's houses without any sort of due process or good reason. And this is Trump just going, I'm going to send you guys to people's houses.
Literally.
Like, he's just coming out and saying it. So, I don't know what to say.
It's just, where happened to all that energy of, I don't want the big government, I don't want the government in my house, I don't want the government here. They are literally sending the military to cities. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Like, what are we even talking about here? You're so right. Dude, they didn't even want, how dare you tell me that I can't drink lead in my water? Stop regulating the lead pipes. How dare you say I can't buy, blah, 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 if I want to buy blah, blah, blah.
They don't even think the CDC should give recommendations about vaccines. Never mind requirements. They don't even think they should say recommendations.
They think the whole thing's a scam. I'm trying to be understanding and empathetic. But my God, if you hear that clip and you don't think this is freaking weird, and if you don't think that if anyone on the left said anything even remotely similar to that, they wouldn't be getting indicted themselves, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so unhinged. So it's so terrifying. And I just don't know. I know there's going to be people in the comments, Democrat tears, ha ha ha, owning the libs. They think they're cool because they're not in cities. You know what I mean? They're from random suburb X and they're like, but this doesn't stop after one. This keeps going and going and going and going. And of course it will. And then the obviously terrifying reality, which of course I'm not saying is what I predict to happen, but which is now completely on the horizon as a potential. Like, I would have given a 0% chance if you'd asked me 6 months ago, and now I'm going to say there is a chance, like a greater than zero, is that he declares this a war, like, in the country, and then delays the elections. Like, that's not a zero anymore, right? I don't think that's crazy to say that's a zero.
No.
Like, he keeps saying it's a war like a war within, an enemy within. We're going to war within. It feels like they're just getting us used to the idea that they're going to call it a literal war against far left Antifa, which isn't even a real organization, loosely defined groups. Am I being crazy? I know I'm getting worked up, but am I being crazy right now?
No, not at all. I 100% agree. And it's like, what more can we say other than playing direct quotes from the president saying this shit? And it's like, it's scary because, and disclaimer, Trump is not Hitler, relax, but okay.
Yeah, well, you've already ruined it. People will go, right, at 40-37 you lost me.
Yeah.
Assholes.
Okay, but Hitler concealed his true intentions way more than Trump.
Oh yeah.
Hitler did not run in 32 or whatever it was on a platform of exterminating Jews. And when he actually started full-blown death camps fully in motion, like around the time the U.S. entered the war, like 41, like he still didn't admit that. He never did. Hitler never came out and said, my goal is to exterminate all Jews off the planet, and we're doing it via these death camps. That never happened. Like, he never said that. He never came that clean. And it's scary because, like, what if Trump was smarter at concealing his motives? Then it would be harder to get people to care about all this stuff. If Trump was just a little bit smarter
and younger
in all this stuff, right, and younger, yeah, it sounds like he's literally, that clip you just played, it sounds like he's literally on his deathbed. It sounds like he's fighting for his life.
Did you see? A reporter asked him what his goals for 2026 were, and he said to survive. Literally, that's a direct quote from like this week. So I think he knows he's running out of time from his age, not because I think something's going to happen.
But I think that's the reason it's so frustrating and alarming to us, is because he's not even trying to hide it. He's coming out and saying publicly. He's not having secret meetings with generals saying, hey, listen, in a few months, we're going to have you invade Chicago, but keep it on the down low because we haven't worked out the PR for it yet. Like, he's not doing that. He's coming out and saying it in a public speech. So how could you get people to care more that don't care already?
It feels like we're hitting our head against the wall just over and over again. And it's, and I will, I'll sympathize in some way of saying that partly to blame is the alarmism of Democrats over the last 20 years, right? Like they have said some crazy stuff. They were definitely way too trigger happy with the name calling for decades. Again, you and I would say that was a smaller group than Republicans realize, and it was showed to have a more outsized influence because of, right-wing media. But fair enough. So that is hurting. Like, they keep saying, but you told me this last time and everything was fine. That's what people are going to say. That's how they sleep at night. When they hear me and you, ringing bells and yelling into our microphones, they are going to go, well, yeah, these fucking assholes told us this last 4 years ago. And we didn't, right? I mean, you got to be able to see the difference, right? Like,
Right.
The mask is off. Like, let us just be completely factual here. This week, the president of the United States called the Democratic Party the party of hate, evil, and Satan, and then also told a room of the top generals and commanders that we should use cities in this country as testing grounds for the military, and we're going to have to invade them one by one because there's an enemy within. I wonder who the enemy is! Maybe it's the party of Satan? I mean, what are we talking about? I don't know. I'm losing my mind, man. I'm going crazy over here.
No, same here. It's this whole talk of Satan.
We talking about Satan?
Yeah, we were already on that path, and then the killing of Charlie Kirk set off this explosion of like radical Christian furor. And that was previously seen kind of more just within like QAnon and this belief that like democratic reptilian pedophile aliens that speak in tongues are taking over society.
Go into the pizza shop.
Right. But that back then that was seen as a small segment of the right, and now Trump is just fully embracing like his role as like an actual messiah saving us from Satan.
Yep. Honestly, it all plays really well into the martyr thing after his assassination attempt. When they all put on their ear patch together and prayed.
Ear tampon?
Yeah, exactly. And then they by the way, his spiritual advisor is now just got arrested for sexual assault to kids. But here we go. Yeah, there we go. But never mind. Never mind that. Another thing in this vein, and then we're going to go to Hegseth calling our military leaders fatties. Part of the shutdown and part of this anti-Democrat thing is, so the administration is calling that it's canceled around $8 billion in infrastructure, clean energy projects in 16 states. Obviously, every one of the 16 states voted for Kamala, so they've only attacked states funding that voted for Kamala. They say they're going to continue cutting for all states, but I just want people to realize how crazy this is. So they looked on the map. They said, what states didn't vote for Trump? Let's cut their funding to punish them. For what? For voting for Kamala? Like, for what? It's so not only illegal, but like, I don't know what else to tell people when you see something like that. What are you supposed to even do it? How is that not punishment?
Right. It's so blatant, and it shows how much they don't care about all these accusations and all these labels that we're mentioning, authoritarian, dictator, fascist. It shows how much they don't care, because Russ Vought could have tossed in one Trump voting state to throw, just so people like us wouldn't have the evidence of, you really just listed 16 Harris voting states. Like, he couldn't toss in one just to get us off his case, and it would still be a disaster, obviously. But like, he's not even like, they're so open about it and so proud. It's a disaster. And what's crazy is I read that, and I read one of the states are New Hampshire, and I went, New Hampshire voted for Harris? She won by 3%. I had to look it up. It was like 50.5 to 47.5 or something.
There we go.
I was surprised. Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a great point. And also just like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell people when they see stuff like that. It's interesting, it's incredibly interesting and incredibly depressing. So that's why we talk about it. So let's talk about hot guy Hegseth, the hottie Heg, the Heg. Because in that same conference, I guess you could say, of the military generals and whatnot, our lovely Secretary of Defense, even though he keeps calling himself the War Secretary, which is so ridiculous, went on a monologue saying how he's sick of these fat generals, he's sick of these woke generals, and if you don't want to commit to not being fat, you should resign. And not only is it unbelievably rude and horrible from just a human level, it's hilarious because he's a fucking asshole and it's unbelievable. Also, can we be honest? Like I said, he's not he acts like he's such a cool guy. And also, Trump is wicked fat. And so
Right.
I just...
Not only is Trump wicked fat, he was never in shape and never could do one.
Dodger.
There's zero chance Trump has ever done one full pull-up.
No, never. He dodged the draft, too. He's so unpatriotic.
Right. I side note, I wish that when Hegseth said the specific quote where he said, "I hate fat generals and admirals," it would be funny if the camera just panned to some fat general. It's just sitting right there, because they're all sitting right there.
Yeah, and they're frowning.
Yeah. Or pan to Trump on the golf course. Like very like The Office.
Just Jim. I don't know. I mean, do you...
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
He also said... Hegseth also emphasized the importance of grooming standards, saying, quote, "The era of unprofessional appearance is over. No more beardos."
What a line. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be laughing. It's just crazy.
Of course he harped on woke. He said the Department of Defense has become the woke department, but not anymore. And then I just thought, what could possibly be an example of the United States Department of Defense, biggest budget on the planet by far for any military, is
almost
woke.
$1 trillion now.
And I learned that Hegseth released a book last year entirely about that. The book is called The War on Warriors, and it's about woke policies. He references Don't Ask, Don't Tell, saying it served as a gateway and a camouflage that opened the door for woke policies. So apparently not having to hide the fact that you're gay was the start of the woke takeover.
He hates gay
It's just
people.
they have nothing. But
dude,
boy, do they love the word woke.
He gave this week as well medals, I forget, some medal award or award of freedom or whatever, to all the people at the Battle of Wounded Knee, which is obviously a national disgrace because it was a massacring of Native Americans and mostly women and children, and it's a black spot on American history. He now has given them all honors of freedom or whatever. Did you see that? I looked at it and thought, just sighed.
Yeah, I did.
Am I right? That's a full-blown massacre, right? It's a disaster.
Right, exactly. And it's just another example, the way they love defending Confederate statues in the South. It's
Medals
they
of
don't
honor.
they don't want to come out and say, we don't care about Native Americans, they should all be killed. They don't want to come out and say we support the Confederacy in the Civil War, but they will do these winks and nods so that the people in these radical racists in the South will know, oh, this is my guy,
Yep.
And it's
100%.
That whole theory of not everyone that voted for Trump supports the Confederacy. But everyone that supports the Confederacy probably voted for Trump.
And it's exactly that. It's a square rectangle thing. Where do they fall? Does
Right.
David Duke ever support the left? You know what I mean? I wonder why. Anyway, but yeah, whatever. What can you do? It's again a national embarrassment, right? Just this guy, this random schmuck who was a TV host just a few years ago, ridiculing our nation's greatest military achievers on their body, but whatever. lastly, for this kind of has been happening, so it's a little not this week, but in the week, two things. So we were talking about this Venezuela stuff a few weeks ago. So they shot down another boat off the coast of Venezuela. This is, I think, now the third boat they've shot down, killing the people on board. They're just now full blown like policing Venezuelan waters and shooting boats down that are like very small little boats. I want people to look the videos of these things up. They're not like they're mega boats. They're like little boats. So the idea that they're going to go across the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the U.S. is pretty unlikely. They're the size of like a Boston whaler. I don't understand why the U.S. is patrolling the Venezuelan waters, and it feels like this is going to maybe be a conflict in the near-term future.
Yeah, exactly. And if they care so much about the border and people and drugs entering the country, why couldn't they use the resources to blow up a boat thousands of miles away? Just put those people on the border. Like that,
Exactly.
That would be more likely to prevent drugs from coming in the country than shooting down a boat with drugs on it in another continent.
And also, like, I know they hate the president there, but like there's ways to work with other countries without illegally invading their sovereignty and shooting and killing their civilians.
Right. And do you see them justifying, like Hegseth said, we killed 4 male narco terrorists aboard
They just throw terrorists around. They just call everyone a terrorist.
Aboard a vessel. Terrorists aboard a vessel, and they're talking about 4 dudes with coke on a rowboat.
On a little tiny boat. Oh my God.
Which, by the way, is how Hegseth probably spends his spring breaks.
Seriously, this guy known
doing blow on a little boat.
I know. Guy's an absolute clown. It's so funny. I was talking to Eric about, I think I might have said this on the show. Like, every week there's a new secretary du jour that ruins my week. You know what I mean? This week it's Hegseth. Last week it was RFK. It will be Chris Wright, Lee Zeldin. Every week it's like they're having a contest who can be the most incompetent. What's his face? Lutnick, Howard Lutnick. My God, how many times has he won that award?
Right. Maniac
of the Week. This week's Maniac of the Week goes to Pete Hegseth. Maybe we should do that every week. Maniac of the Week. It goes to Pete Hegseth for being an absolute nut job and calling all of our military leaders obese. Lastly, again, so this has been over the last few weeks, and we didn't talk about it last week, and I want to talk about it now. So, some people may not know this, that the leader of Argentina, Milei, I think his last name is. He and Trump are buddies, and they're having a major economic kind of crisis. They've been having problems with inflation. They've had a rough go, Argentina. But Trump has now given them $20 billion as an aid package. And it's being referred to as a bailout. It effectively is. I mean, the reason why is because the way the Argentinian currency is pegged and stuff like that, it effectively is. So we're giving them $20 billion. I wonder what how is that America first? You know, like we're giving Argentina $20 billion. And we can't give Ukraine anything? Or like, what are we talking about? Like a country actually being invaded? What happened? Why? I would love to hear the argument from people who want the U.S. to focus on the U.S. Why giving Argentina $20 billion is a good idea.
Right. And it's so dumb because the reason they're so desperate for money is because President Milei has done these severe austerity budget cuts. And so that's why Trump and Project 2025 people admire this guy anyway, because he's a hardcore cut the budget, cut the government guy. And so he's kind of in deep shit within Argentina. And the electorate is pissed at him because of the effects of cutting all these federal programs. And then Trump just comes in and he's like, don't worry, we'll just give you $20 billion to help. It makes no sense, especially when you consider Trump is literally cutting food stamps and healthcare from the poorest Americans.
Exactly. This is why I wanted to bring it up, because in one breath, they say we can't sign this agreement with the Democrats to extend ACA credits because we just don't have the money. But on the other side of their mouth, they're giving $20 billion to Argentina just because he likes the president's shtick. Like,
Right.
that's it. Like, this is the great hypocrisy that I wish people would, like, I wish people like Rogan, I wish people like, who are like following this stuff and supposedly just calling it as they see it and apolitical would just report this stuff actually accurate, because the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. It's making me lose my mind. I think I've shrieked like 4 times this episode, which I usually shriek only once per week. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's so, I find it weird. And this whole South American thing is interesting too. I mean, I would love to talk to like a South American expert, but the fighting with Venezuela, the buddying up with, Argentina. He's kind of been against the Brazilian leadership too, and like a lot of involvement with South America.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
Something's going on over there. I don't like it. Something is up there. And I don't like what's going on in South America. I think something's up. I suspect major drama in the future.
Trump's going to move to a resort down there when they start indicting him in the US.
Honestly, and I know Trump is not a Nazi, but it isn't funny how a lot of the Nazis did go to Argentina.
Yeah.
Kind of good. Just funny coincidence.
Couple friends of Fred Trump still living down there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Unfortunate similarity. But we kid right wing. We kid. I know you're commenting right now. We're joking. Oh, my God. All right. Well, that is the news. So without further ado,
it's time for Rick's Cultural Corner.
So our listeners probably don't know, I'm a little bit of a grammar nerd. I know they probably can't tell based on how I speak. They're probably like, can this guy even read?
You're like, I'm highly literate.
Yeah.
And in fact, I love language.
grew up in the suburbs of Boston, so that's why I talk like this. But so I thought I'd do a quiz with you about eponyms.
Well, hello.
Yes, and an eponym is so there are two things that are eponyms, and they're the flip sides of each other. So it's either a person or thing from whom something is named, or it's the flip side, the thing itself. So we'll focus on the second one. So these are words that are named after people. So some of them are really obvious and direct, like the word is the person. For example, jacuzzi is now a common noun. It's named after its founder, Candido Jacuzzi.
Naturally, Candido.
Naturally. Yeah. Candido Jacuzzi had some great parties in the 80s.
That guy's the man, dude. Candido
Other ones. Other ones are like not that direct. So like saxophone, the instrument is named after its founder, Adolf Sax.
All right. These things are just so common.
I also think these are hilarious too. So
right, because I can't help myself.
So you get it, right? So it's not always exactly the word with the name.
Yeah,
it's sometimes saxophone.
Yeah.
So I thought I have 10 questions. For each question, I'm going to give you 3 words, and you are going to choose the eponym of those 3 words. So I'm going to give you 3 words. In each bunch of 3, there'll be one word that's named after a person. It's not necessarily after the inventor, but it's named after a person's name.
Gotcha.
So one of 3 will be an eponym. The other will just be words that have normal Latin origins, not dating back to a name.
Okay.
So the first 3 words: elect, boycott, appoint.
I'm gonna go with boycott, and I'm gonna think there's some British woman named like Elizabeth Boycott, and she boycotted something.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it really? Is it Elizabeth Boycott?
Charles Boycott.
Hey!
And he was Irish, so you were close with the country, too.
That sounds like boycott. That was a terrible accent. I can't do impression.
Man, just join the podcast.
I can't do it. Don't be a Phil.
Charles C. Boycott. Fought for land reforms in 1880s Ireland.
You know what? Really quick tangent. This is a great example of why no one should be so worried about their legacy at work, because I would never know about Charles C. Boycott, and there's no way in hell anything will be named after me.
Right.
I'll never do anything as important as develop the boycott.
Yeah, like, can you imagine if, like, the word klutz, like the Yiddish word meaning, like, you know, somebody that falls down a lot, isn't coordinated? Like, can you imagine if that was your name? And
Billy Klutz.
That's your legacy?
Well, like, who invented the microwave? You know, you don't know who that is, and you'll never
Right.
do anything better than the microwave.
Bobby Microwave.
Billy Microwave. Well, you know what it reminds me of, Rick, is the remember there's that place in our hometown called the Printing Place, and we thought it was just because it was the place where things were printed, because it was like a print shop, like a FedEx, like a Kinko's, and it was because it was Mr. and Mrs. Place.
I forgot about that. Yeah, their son, Scotty Place.
Scotty Place, who might be listening to the show. Scotty Place is real.
I forgot about that. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a definite one. The Printing Place.
So funny. All right.
Sadly out of business.
You're 1 for 1. Next round, enthrall, amaze, mesmerize.
Enthrall, amaze. I'm gonna say enthrall. Johnny Thrall.
Good guess, but it is mesmerize, named
Really?
after the German doctor Franz Mesmer.
Oh my God, Franz Mesmerize.
And
Damn.
he started claiming something called, that was initially named the Mesmer effect, which was when somebody's body was controlled by animal magnetism, kind of like a demon.
Huh. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets more common in modern political discourse, knowing the way things are going.
Right.
We're gonna start saying that, you know, Kamala Harris is controlled by the Mesmer effect. Oh my God. All right. That was tough. 1 for 1.
Yeah.
This is tough.
And listeners, please play along.
Yes,
home.
please. Yeah.
Number 3, incumbent appointee gerrymander.
Oh, Jerry, I know that because I did an episode on gerrymander.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
The governor
good
of Mass. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination of Elbridge Gerry, the governor, and the word salamander.
Salamander.
Referring to a Senate district in Boston that was such a weird shape it resembled a salamander.
Which by the way, it didn't. If you look at the map, they really forced the salamander on top of it. I did a gerrymandering episode. That's the only reason why I know that. I would have never known that.
When I first saw that on the list, I was hoping the dude's name was Gerrymander. All right. Number 3, dunce, loon, idiot.
Dunce. I'm gonna go Carl Dunce.
Yep.
Yes,
Exactly.
let's go.
Was named after a philosopher named John Duns Scotus.
Damn, yeah.
Kind of funny.
Oh.
His last name is Scotus too, spelled exactly like the Supreme Court acronym.
But it didn't. That didn't stick.
No.
Was it because he was just so dumb?
Actually, no.
He's a genius.
Yeah, he was a linguist. So he used it to refer to people that criticized the Renaissance movement that wore weird hats that became dunce cap turns into dunce.
So dunce cap is where dunce stick. That's interesting. Interesting.
And then it became used to describe fools or misbehaving children.
Oh, I've never heard of the second version, but like a couple of dunces at the middle school. Seems like it seems a little nasty.
So you got that. So 3 for 4.
Let's go. Linguist
all right.
master.
Number 5, gasoline, diesel, petroleum.
I'm going to go diesel.
You're sure it's not Joey Gasoline?
So, okay, I actually was...
No.
I was actually thinking petrol, like maybe it was like Scott Petrol and petroleum. Bobby Gasoline, I feel like, is your username. You can email the show.
That's my Matt. That's how I played Matt in 07.
Ricky Gasoline at thelonelyliberal.com. Ricky Gas.
No, you're right.
Is it? Nice. Let's go.
You're right with Diesel. Rudolph Diesel. developed an engine in the 1800s.
Rudy Diesel. Who
My
would've
boy.
known? I love that guy. Nice. I'm killing it. This is awesome.
Yeah, you're killing it. What's that? 4 for 5?
Yeah. I'm batting 80%.
Number 6. Yoga, Pilates, treadmill.
Yoga, definitely not. Because Pilates, Johnny Pilates, Bobby Pilates. Bobby Pilates too good. That can't be true. And then I'm going treadmill, and it's like Janet. No, not Janet Mills, but like Billy Mills, and he made a treadmill.
Nope, this one is actually Joey Pilates.
Are you serious?
The founder of Pilates is named Joseph Pilates.
Are you fucking Joey Pilates? You gotta be kidding me.
No.
Oh, I thought there's no way it could be Joey Pilates. It's the one game name I guessed.
This might be my favorite one. Joey
Pilates?
Yeah.
It sounds like a freaking...
He was a German athlete who created his own brand of exercise after experiencing a range of physical issues throughout his life.
It's actually, like, in hindsight, I should have guessed it because Pilates is like a newer aged thing. So you could see how it could be named after someone. Like Bikram Yoga. Obviously, Bikram was probably a worse guy than Pilates. But you know what these names make me think of is, like, I always joke around, like, and my dad, who's definitely listening, sometimes he'll do these stories where he just throws out these names that I think are totally fake, where he'll be like, yeah, I remember in the 80s, me and Joey Windows went shopping. And I'll be like, Dad. And he's like, what are you talking about? That's a real guy. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it'll be like Billy Toothpick and Bobby Fork came over and we hung out for 3 weeks straight. And I'm like, what? These names don't sound real.
No.
He'll I'm sure he'll throw it out. He'll hear this and he'll be like, oh, how dare you threaten say that friggin' Johnny Plate is a fake. It's always like some utensil. Mike Spoon. I'm like, these are fake names.
Ricky Knives.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Billy Chicken. These are not real people. Anyways.
So good. All right, 4 for 6. Number 7, Maverick, Orthodox, Rebel.
I'm going to go Maverick. I think Maverick sounds like Billy Maverick could be a name.
There we go. Sammy Maverick.
Let's go. Okay.
And it means independent person from the name Samuel A. Maverick, a Texas rancher in the 19th century who did not brand his cattle.
Hey, good guy.
Exactly. Samuel Maverick.
Big fan of him. Big ups.
Not to be confused with John McCain, also called the Maverick.
Also not to be... Is that why they're the Dallas Mavericks? Was he from Dallas? The Mav?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably. Texas rancher.
Damn. What a legend.
Good call. Number 8, Nemesis, Enemy, Bane.
Well, you want to go Bane, because that at least could be a name. We've heard the name Bane, but that could be a trap that you're laying. Bobby Bane, Michaela Enemy. That sounds fake. What was the second one? Nemesis?
Nemesis, Enemy, Bane.
George Nemesis. George Nem. And he went, yeah, I'm going Nemesis.
Yep, there you go.
It is?
Nemesis was, so this one actually is a little bit of a trick, but you got it right because it's not an actual person. It was a Greek goddess who was the personification of retribution and vengeance.
That's interesting. Also very relevant.
And that one's just Nemesis because it's a Greek god. There's no first name, unfortunately.
But I was close with George because George is a very Greek name.
Right.
I'll take that. Anyway, what's up? Well, we got 9, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you're doing good. You've only missed 2.
This is great.
The words for 9 are vegetable, appetizer, sandwich.
I'm going to go Sandwich because there's that town in Mass called Sandwich. And I'm guessing that if there are 2 things named Sandwich, that means there's a person named Sandwich. Reginald Arthur Sandwich from the Duke of Sandwich, UK.
Exactly. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. It's named after an 18th century English aristocrat, John Montague, Earl of Sandwich.
Earl of Sandwich.
Who was also referred to as Lord Sandwich.
Yep. It's always like that.
He was, after long sessions of cribbage and other card games, he would order his valet to bring him roast beef between 2 pieces of bread.
Oh, so roast beef sandwiches were the first sandwich.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting that that's what he wanted.
Earl of Sandwich. John Sandwich.
John Sandwich.
Yeah.
I knew it.
So, yeah, still doing good. 7 out of 9. Last one. Blacklist, encryption, Bluetooth.
Blacklist could be that someone named like Billy Black put people on a list, or it could just be racist.
Right. Or did Billy get banished from a kingdom and then that became the word?
He was the blacklist because everyone with him was the blacklist. Yeah, you're right. That could be one. Bluetooth, Bobby Tooth, Bobby Blue. That seems impossible. And then the middle one was what?
Encryption.
Chris Krypton? Krypton? No. I'm going to go with blacklist.
Close.
Damn.
It was Bluetooth was named after Harold Bluetooth.
His name was Bluetooth? Harry Bluetooth?
Yeah, and it's not the inventor. He was actually a Viking king of Denmark in the 900s AD, who was known for bringing together parts of Norway and Denmark into one country. So in the way that he brought countries together, they named the Bluetooth technology after, connecting 2 pieces of technology.
Do you think he had a Bluetooth? Like a Bluetooth? Like, because a lot of those names, like if your last name was like Schumacher, you were like a shoemaker, you know what I mean? Or like blacksmith or whatever. Like, do you think he had a Bluetooth or like something? Do you think he like put a blue rock in his mouth? Like something must have happened, right? Because that seems like a mythical name. Harold Bluetooth?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia, but I'm not sure. But
maybe the Bluetooths are still at large.
Yeah. But yeah, you did good. You got 7 out of 10. You only missed Harold Bluetooth, Franz Mesmer, and Joey Pilates.
Joey Pilates
was the only 3 you missed. So 7 out of 10, passing grade.
I'll take it. And Joey Pilates is my favorite out of all. Joey Pilates is so funny. Oh my God, it cracks me up. Freaking Joey Pilates over here. I'm gonna start calling people Joey. What are you, freaking Joey Pilates? I'm freaking Joey Pilates over here, causing a scene.
Fucking Freddie Sandwich.
Yeah, Freddie Sandwich and Jody Pilates won't leave me alone. I can't wait to hear what freaking Joey Pilates in the comments. That's awesome. That was a great one. Awesome. Well, that's our show. That was great. I wonder how people did. Let us know how you did in the comments below. We're curious if you nailed them all correct.
Yes, please.
And some other favorite eponyms. Yeah, let us know your favorite eponym.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know.
All right, cool. Well, Rick, thank you as always. We won't be back next week because next week is the wedding weekend, baby.
Let's go.
Oh, and then I'll be off vacationing the week after. And then we'll be back to normal. But there will be a little bit of a hiatus starting next Sunday. There will be a show the next Wednesday. I'm having my friend Stephanie on. Then, yeah. So enjoy your break. Do you have any plans for your... Oh, obviously you'll be at the wedding on Sunday. But will you be taking advantage of your free time?
I don't know. Probably we'll be watching some playoff baseball, even though the Sox are out. But yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to the wedding. We'll have to tell a couple stories from it.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, Rick in the wild. But alrighty, let's call it. All right, man. See you later. Thanks.
See ya.
And that's our show, folks. Thank you so much for listening today. If you like the show, please give it a 5-star review either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you've done that already, thank you so much. But if you haven't and you're listening to the show, that would be very appreciated. I would be very happy. You could also tell people about the show, too. But I don't want to be too greedy. Let me know what you think on YouTube, too. Leave a comment. Write us in at thelonelyliberalpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on all the socials. You know, the crap. Do that stuff. It helps. Yeah, that's it. We'll be back on Wednesday for a show. I've got my guest coming on, Stephanie Gagnon. She's a wonderful human being who talks about clean energy policy. She's an expert on that, so I can't wait to have her on, and you can hear all the smart things she can say. But until then, have a good rest of the beginning of the week. I need to get a better outro. All right, see ya. Bye.